Hey everyone, here we go with operations with numbers in scientific notation. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to multiply and divide numbers with scientific notation. Alright, so first two are just very mechanical. Alright, and we'll just show you how to do it. You notice I have two numbers for exercise number 1 that are in scientific notation. And I want to multiply them because I've got the parentheses that are right next to each other. We know that means multiplication. So here, a little different. Actually, I think easier than adding and subtracting them. We do not have to have these exponents to be the same to do that. All right. So all we do, very simple. If we're going to multiply these two together, we take this number and just straight out multiply them. All right, I'll call up my calculator here and I'll go 3.2 times 6.0 and I get 19.2. Alrighty, so I'm just going to put a 19.2 right there. And with the exponents over here, remember probably about a week ago now at least, when you multiply items with the same base, which 10 and 10 are the same base, when you multiply them, you add their exponents. So you simply add 5 and 7, and you get 10 to the 12th. All right. Now, be good mathematicians here. Remember scientific notation. This number wants to be greater than 1 and less than 10. All right. So we've got to move this decimal one place to the left so that I have 1.92 times 10. Now, if I have a big number like this and I move it one place to the left, what it does is it makes this number one digit bigger. All right, so there is my final answer for number 1. Okay, so very similar in exercise 2 here. I'm going to multiply these two together. Remember, if there's no decimal here, that means there is a decimal right at the end of the number. So that is just simply 5.0. All right. I'll bring up the calculator here. I want to take 5, and I want to multiply by 2.4. And I get 12. Oh, that's nice. All right. So this comes out to be 12, right on the money, times 10. And again, I'm multiplying these common bases, so I simply add the 12 and the 9 together to get 21. All right, and that, that number is greater than 10, so I got to fix it. All right, so the decimal place is right there. I've got to, again, move that decimal one place to the left. That gives me 1.2 times 10, and again, it makes that number, that exponent, bigger. So that's times 10 to the 22nd. All right. So that's the mechanics behind it. Let's go to a little different problem here. Number 3. I'll pull that one up. I already have the population of China up here. It says the population of China in 2012 was 1,351,000,000 people. And I even put down here, by comparison, the U.S. population was 313,900,000. So you can see China is very large population-wise compared to us. But it does say for every person in China, there are 4.6 times 10 to the 7th ants for every one of those people right there. And we want to know how many total ants are there in China. All right. So again, we could punch these numbers into the calculator. We want to practice at multiplying scientific notation numbers together. All right, so I'm going to turn this number into scientific notation. All right, so we've done this for a while, so I'm just going to do this rather quickly. I'm going to move it 9 places to the left, and that's going to give me 1.351 times 10 to the 9th. And if for every one of those persons there are this many ants, well, then I want to multiply. Each one of those persons gets that many ants. All right. So again, multiplying these together, going to bring up the calculator and just move it down here a little bit so I can see those numbers. So 1.351 multiplied by 4.6 and I get 6.2146. 6.2146. All right. And then the other part is easy. 10 to the 9th times 10 to the 7th is 10 to the 16th, because I simply add the 9 and the 7 together. All right. And nice thing is, this number right here is already greater than 1, less than 10, so I am done. So for every how many total ants are there in China? For every person, we have this number of ants. So total number of ants, that's just huge. That is a ridiculous number of ants there for you. All right. So multiplying scientific notation numbers together, just multiply this number and this number together like normal, and then we take that 10 to the 9th and 10 to the 7th or what have you, and we add those exponents, and there we have it. And then be good mathematicians, make sure it is in correct scientific notation form. All right. Since we can multiply them, we should be able to divide them, and it works just the same. All right. We're going to do a very mechanical example here first. This is exercise 4. I want to divide these two numbers, so I simply divide those two decimals. Let's see, I want to go 2.7, and I want to divide by 3, and all right, 0.9, so that's not too difficult there, 0.9 I get. And if you remember, when we divided like bases, that means you subtracted those exponents. All right, so I'm going to get times 10 to the 34 minus 25 gives me a 9. All right, and the same rules apply here. We don't want to leave that number as 0.9 because that is not greater than 1. So we want to actually move this decimal that way. All right, so I get 9.0. That number is greater than 1, less than 10. And since I moved it to the right, that means my exponent gets smaller, and that becomes an 8. All right, so there's my answer for exercise number 4. All right, and one more to go. Actually, on your note packet it says number 4, but we're going to change it to number 5. We want to know if the land area of the United States is 3,794,000 square miles, and Maryland is only 12,407 square miles. We want to know how many Marylands can fit inside of the U.S. Okay, so again, this is a division problem. We want to know how many of these fit in one of those. So that is a division problem, absolutely. So we're going to, again, we could punch it up on our calculator, that's fine, but we want to practice doing scientific notation division. All right, so we're going to put this into scientific notation, and so I'm going to have to move that decimal over until I have 3.794 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be a 6. And I'm going to be dividing by 1.2407 times 10 to the, how many times did I move it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And again, I just want to divide these, so I got to bring up the calculator. All right, 3.794, and I'm going to divide by 1.2407. And ooh, that is not a pretty number. Not a pretty number at all. So I'm going to round. All right, I'm going to go out 2 decimal places with this. So I'm going to say that 7 is going to round that 5 up to a 6. So I'm going to make that 3.06. And since I'm dividing, that means I take this 10 to the 6th and 10 to the 4th, and I simply subtract their exponents. All right. So, and that number, 3.06, is bigger than 1 and smaller than 10, so that's good. And if I wanted an actual number, how many Marylands can fit inside of the U.S.? Well, let's convert it back to a standard number. That 2 tells me move it over twice. So I can fit 306 Marylands inside one United States of America. All right. So multiplication and division of scientific notation, really not a big deal. You know what you're doing. It's pretty straightforward. So there you go.